Djibouti. Oh, hi, everybody. Welcome to the third week of virtual learning for English 2. This week, you're going to spend most of the week working on your success unit final project. Last week we read a bunch of different sources about success. Now I'm having you do a project in which you kind of put all your thinking together. So this will be on Classroom, but the prompt reads, for the past couple of weeks, we've interacted with many different approaches to becoming successful. We've interacted with the thoughts of Sherman Alexie, Malcolm X, Malcolm Gladwell, Michael Lewis, and Carol Dweck, all of whom have differing yet similar ways of achieving this elusive thing we call success. Now, you must do one of the following, detailing to me your plan on achieving success in this thing called life. You have the option of presenting a speech, which you really can't do virtually, but if you are one of the people that are in person, you can do the speech because the in-person people actually watch these. It's not just you virtual kids. You could write an essay. You can make a poster. Once again, distance learners, I don't know how well that would work. You can create a video. I'm creating a video right now. And then you could also create an infographic. An infographic is a digital poster, essentially. So it's an online or it's just a digital poster. So you could do a digital poster if you'd like. You'll need to provide at least 3 reasons and 3 pieces of text evidence to support your plan. There's no length requirement on any of these. You just need to make sure you provide the required information within the standard conventions of your chosen medium. So if you were to present a speech, it'd be about 3 minutes that you need to have. If you're writing an essay, the minimum word length for high school essays is about 500 words. So you need to make sure that you do that. You hit the minimum for a high school essay. You could make a poster, make good use of the white space. Don't have any like big, huge blanks. Create a video, follow general video conventions that you come to expect, and then create an infographic. Same thing as a poster. I have done other things in the past. I've had kids record podcasts. I've had kids record podcasts. I've had kids do Twitch streams. If you want to do one of those ones that aren't listed, if you have an idea for one that's not listed, just let me know and we'll talk about it, figure out what you might do. But if you choose essay, video, or infographic, then it's fine. You don't have to really talk to me about it. Unless you have questions. If you have questions, of course, absolutely talk to me about it. But if you don't have any questions, it's not that big of a deal. So once again, you need to provide at least 3 reasons and 3 pieces of text evidence to support your plan. Here's the rubric that I'll be grading you on. It's worth 50 points. Exceeded, if you hit exceeded, it's 10 points. If you hit met, it's 7.5 points. If you hit approaching, it's 5 points. And if you hit not met, it is 2.5 points. I'm grading you on plan development. Did you evaluate and explain how the plan developed, merged, and was refined? Then reason, text evidence, and explanation. You need to do this 3 times, of course. You provide a reason along with text evidence and an explanation of how that text evidence is relevant. We'll talk more about that in a moment because this kind of fits into this idea that is explored by this dude named Toulmin called Toulmin argumentative theory. And he basically says in order to have a good argument, you have to have a claim, which would be your reason. You need to have data, which is your evidence. And then you need to have a warrant, which is you explaining why your evidence connects to your reason or why your evidence is relevant. Then conventions, the project demonstrates a strong command of the conventions of the medium. So what is expected for the medium that you chose to explore? So this is the success project. You have pretty much all week to work on it. It will be due on Monday. That's the success project is due on Monday. So a week from yesterday, your success project will be due. So let's talk about Toulmin real fast since I was just talking about it, since that's one of the things that I need to teach you about today. So, as mentioned before, you should see my screen now. So, the Toulmin method, an analysis of argument. That's what the Toulmin method is. Now, as I will point out, you already do this inherently. People automatically do this. This is one of those things that they automatically know how to do. And we're just pointing out these elements to help aid you in your ability to transfer them to other aspects of your life. Most of the time you do this in conversation. and you can pick up nonverbal cues that will help you understand whether or not you are doing what you need to be doing. So nonverbal cues will help you understand if you need to establish a warrant, if you've provided enough data, if you need to have a rebuttal, those type of things. Those will help you understand what you need to add, and you can keep talking and keep adding on to it. You have a little bit of a back and forth with the audience, because if you're talking, the audience is right in front of you. So you have a little bit more of a back and forth to adjust. In writing, the audience is a anonymous audience, a general audience, and it's a one-sided conversation you're having with them. When you write, you're having a conversation, but it's a one-sided conversation. So you need to fill in some of these gaps that the nonverbal cues would help pick up on. So the first thing that everybody has is a claim. Claim's super easy. A claim is a statement that you believe to be true, the answer to a question that you've answered, an opinion that you may hold. So yes, a claim is just, here's my answer, here's what I think. So that's what you start off with. Now you have two primary features of a claim. It needs to be debatable, and it needs to be defensible. Debatable means essentially, if it's not debatable, if it's not up for debate, it's not a claim that you're making. You're just stating a fact. If everybody agrees to it, that's a fact. So that's what a claim needs to be. It needs to be something that is debatable. It needs to be something that needs to be proven. So if you have it needs to be defensible. So it needs to have something that supports it. Because if you can't support it, then it's not a claim. It's not a fall apart. Luckily, that support comes from this thing called data. Data is data. I feel it sound like my son. Data is evidence. Evidence. What makes you say so? What do you have to go on to it? So the data is the thing that you provide to back up your claim. Now, a lot of you, the answer to the question, that's a claim. You don't provide the data. And so you need the data to help support it. Some of you out there provide me with a whole bunch of data, a lot of data. It's just so much data that you overwhelm you with me with it. If you're just providing a summary of what the story said or what happened in the story, that's just a bunch of data. You need to take that and connect it to a bigger claim. So the example of these 200-word things I have been having you doing, if you just summarize what happens in the piece, you're just providing me with a bunch of data. You're not connecting it to the claim that I asked you to answer, which is, how does this piece explore the idea of success? This piece explores the idea of success through blah, 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 blah. This is seen through, and then you start providing the data that helps back it up. Now, most students have a good handle on claims and data already. Y'all understand how those two things work. The area that you need to be aware of and prove in is warrants and rebuttal. Rebuttals will be nice further down the line. Warrants are kind of what you need right here, right now. At this stage of writing, just based on the first couple weeks here that I've interacted with all y'all's writing, warrants are really the thing that I need y'all to wrap your heads around. The best way I kind of explained it during 7th hour was, your claim is like a marshmallow. Your data is like chocolate, all right? And yeah, you could put that together, but you don't have that some more. It's gonna hurt if you try to make a some more out of that. The warrant is the graham crackers that you put those together and get the some more out of. And so you need that, so both can work on their own, but once you get all three of those together, it makes it just that much better. So you need that graham cracker, you need that warrant to kind of help hold together the warrant. You need that warrant as the graham cracker to help hold together the claim and the data and keep it from falling apart. Without the warrant, it just, your argument goes nowhere. It lacks, because here's the thing you have to keep in mind. You're talking to a general audience, and you have to assume the general audience is dumb. The general audience is not interacting with the same information that you have, so you need to paint the picture out. You need to connect the dots for the general audience and show how your data connects to your claim. You need to explain why this data is relevant to the claim that you are making. And that's all the warrant is. The warrant, so what? Why does this matter? This is where the argument truly lives. This is where you're actually putting your point across. This is the assumption behind the point you're trying to say to the audience. You need to make sure that this point is crystal clear. This is often where inexperienced writers fall short. You show how these two things are connected. Here is my claim, here's my answer, here's my evidence. How are they related? Now let's talk about rebuttals real fast, because I have an example that will hopefully tie it all together a little bit better for you. And there's also another video I'd like you to watch that would help you kind of understand this a little bit better. So a rebuttal is playing defense, anticipating potential audience objections, because once again, it's a one-sided conversation you're having, so you don't know what the audience is going to say. So answering any questions people may have about your claim, warrant, or data. So you're anticipating, this is my weak spot and my argument, so I need to address this weak spot and answer these particular problems and questions that might come up. So that's all a rebuttal is, just playing defense. Right now, I don't necessarily super need you to master rebuttals. If you fancy yourself a writer, rebuttal is the next step that you need to take to make your argument even stronger. Because keep in mind, each of these steps improves your argument. Claim is an argument that you're making. It's a point you're putting it out there. Data helps support the claim that you're making. So it adds a little bit more density to it. It helps make it a little bit more stable. Warrant ties everything together, making it even more stable. A rebuttal is kind of like blanketing it and shielding it from criticism that could come from the outside. So that's all four of them together. There's even more to it. There's things called qualifiers. There's things called backing. Backing is similar to data and kind of goes along with the warrant. But those things I don't necessarily super need you to wrap your head around. I need you at this point to understand a claim is, here's what I think. Data is, here's why I think it. And warrant is showing how that data connects to the claim. Here's how it all ties together. All right. And rebuttal is just anticipating any questions you might have. Here's a chart that kind of highlights it. Notice how what's in between the two sections, between the data and the claim, is the warrant. Because once again, the warrant holds the argument together. It brings the room together, kind of like that rug in The Big Lebowski. It brought the room together. The warrant brings the argument together. So let's say we are doing observe, find patterns, draw conclusions. So our observations were, there's this guy named Rick. He has pale, fair skin, red hair, freckles, and he's sunbathed all day. So that's all the observations that we have. Our brain already found a pattern and jumped to the conclusion, he's probably going to get sunburned. So that's the conclusion. That's the claim. So if you were to answer this, most of the time y'all would write, Rick will probably get a sunburn because of fair skin, red hair, and freckles, and he sunbathed all day. You didn't really explain how all of that information is relevant, how all that information adds up. Keep in mind, the reader, you have to consider it's kind of dumb, and so you need to kind of explain all this information. That's where the warrant comes into play, or the pattern that you discovered. So the pattern is people with fair skin, red hair, and freckles usually get sunburnt easily. So you would, if you were to write this, and you can have backing that even is more evidence that supports it, more data that backs it up. Those people who have little melanin in their skin, melanin protects against sunburns. All right, so Rick will probably get a serious sunburn. This is because he has fair skin, red hair, and freckles, and sunbathed all day yesterday. People with those physical characteristics usually get sunburnt pretty easily. That's all it is. It's just explaining how that evidence is relevant to the claim that you're making. That's all you have to do. Now, once you level up in your writing, you can kind of blend the warrant and the data together into one sentence. So you won't have to have a sentence for your claim, a sentence for your data, a sentence for your warrant. But right now, at the level some of you are at, it's perfectly fine to have here's my claim, here's my data, here's my warrant type of explanation to kind of get your point across. Like I said, as you get more experience with this, these two you'll kind of blend together. Let's look at rebuttal. So if we were to have a rebuttal, someone might say, but Rick's parents both have fair skin, red hair, and freckles, and they never seem to get sunburnt outside of however much they sit outside. So that's someone pointing out, hey, look, wait a minute. That dude's parents never get sunburnt, and they look just like this dude. Well, then you have to point out, well, you have to address the rebuttal. You pretty much just say, well, his parents probably use sunscreen to help wrap that all up, to address that rebuttal. So there you go. That is the Toulmin model. As mentioned before, the big thing is y'all have a claim. Here's the idea. Y'all provide me with data. You just need to tie it, bring in the warrant to tie it all together. Show how it's all related. All right. Those of you who are just providing me with a bunch of data, you still need to do all three of these. take that data. What's the bigger claim? What's the thing that this is talking about? What's the answer to the question I asked, which is essentially, how does X talk about success? And then you would use the warrant to help bring everything together. All right. So that's the Toulmin model. I am going to have you, in fact, we're not going to watch it because, one, we can't watch it, but we can't watch it or YouTube will take it down. But I will share my screen so y'all can kind of see it. It will be linked on this video and it will be linked on Classroom. But I will have you all link this, and I would recommend watching this by Texas A&M, the Toulmin Method, where they kind of explain it a little bit further. They are going to bring in some other things, and their data is called grounds. Data has a bunch of different names. You have data, grounds, evidence, support. No matter what it is, it's the stuff that you're using to support the claim that you're making. So don't worry about that. Just when you hear grounds, think data or evidence or whatever one you want to go with. But watch this video. We're not going to watch it because, once again, YouTube would take this video down. But watch it, and that way you have a better idea with it. And then an additional Easter egg, not Easter egg, but I had a former student of mine that she's actually still a current student, so I can't say her name out loud, but she's a senior this year, and she did this video that we will watch. This is what she did for her project. Use this as kind of like a mentor to kind of follow along and see where we're going, what I'm kind of expecting from you with this. In fact, I would look at I would have the rubric pulled up and see how she's addressing each of the steps of the rubric as the video goes. And I'll have this also linked on Classroom. So I'll have these two videos linked on Classroom for you. And that's it. Pretty much think about Toulmin. Make sure you have a warrant to back up the data that you have. And the rest of the week will be spent to work on your project. And I'll have the additional videos linked. In class. So the writing process, we're walking through the steps of the writing process. Today we pre-wrote, and so there's different strategies that you can pre-write with. Here, I'll grab this right here. So you could do like a web, where here in the center you would put success, draw a circle around it like so, and then kind of web off with your reasons and evidence like so. So you could do a web to pre-write with. It would look like this. You could also do you could do a list where you just kind of list out the information that you want to talk about, or you could do a good old-fashioned Foursquare. I'm trying to move away from Foursquares myself, mainly because they enforce the 5-paragraph essay, which you really don't see out in the wild too much. 5-paragraph essays are really just mainly a school thing or a test thing. But with the 5-paragraph with the Foursquare, here in the center, you'd write your topic, and then you'd have 3 reasons that support that topic, which would be each of your body paragraphs. And then you'd have evidence that supports each of those reasons. Sometimes you'll have multiple pieces of evidence to support those reasons. It would look like this right here. And then this box is usually where you'd write your conclusion. This is actually pre-writing in general, whether you do the web, whether you do the list, or you do the Foursquare, is an excellent way to gather your ideas, to gather your thoughts. Because you do need to gather your thoughts together before you actually start writing. Don't just jump straight into writing. You need to kind of gather your thoughts together whenever, especially if something that is serious that you're trying to publish, like this project that you're doing. Gather your thoughts. That is what pre-writing is for. This right here, the Foursquare, if you fancy yourself a writer, it's a good way to gather your thoughts. I wouldn't follow it. You can follow it, but I wouldn't necessarily treat this as I have to do exactly X, Y, and Z. Now, if you are not a good writer, if you do not feel confident in your writing ability, if you follow your Foursquare to a T, you'll have a serviceable essay. I did not say a good essay. I did not say a quality essay. I said a serviceable essay. So you probably would get a passing grade if you follow this to a T. If you want to aspire to something a little bit greater, you might want to take some creative risk with some of the things you do, because I applaud risk. I want to see risk in your writing. I want you to try things out. So I do applaud risk, but this will get, if you follow Foursquare, it will kind of get you to where at least a serviceable grade, as mentioned before. Pre-writing, we gather our thoughts. Tomorrow we're going to be drafting. I'll probably pop on here and just kind of give you any additional updates if need be, just to remind you to be drafting and kind of go over the project once again, just to kind of continually hammer it in your head what you need to be doing. Then on Thursday, I'll talk about peer review, and I'll walk you through how peer review works. That's part of the revising and editing process. And then Friday, it's just a publish day. If you are going to present, you would present. I know virtual students, it's kind of hard for you to do that. But this project is due on Monday. You have pretty much the rest of the week to work on it. Like I said, on Thursday, I'll talk about peer review. Everything else is going to be on a reminder. You have the project for the rest of the week. So until next time, I will see all of y'all on the flip side. Good luck. And if you have any questions, do not hesitate to email me, and I will try to help you out. Later.